Welcome
to Historia.
It's been so long since we recorded because we took a month off. Just so we could kind of like, get our stuff together. We came up with some creative ideas. And so, first of all, I'm Kylie.
I'm Jamie.
Can't forget our names like we always do. But if you haven't seen our TikTok/Reels, definitely go check them out because they're pretty funny. Not gonna lie, I think we're pretty funny.
I can't act for shit, but it was fun. I am not the thespian here.
It was a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely go follow us on TikTok, Historia the Podcast, to see kind of the creative things we've been putting together. We were doing skits, so definitely
more
check them out.
Is to come as well.
I also dressed up like Nappy Boy. Napoleon Bonaparte, in case you don't remember who Nappy Boy is.
I need to up my Cleopatra one. I completely forgot her headdress piece that I had for my Halloween costume. I was very upset.
Oh yeah,
but I
forgot
brought
about the headdress. The dress works.
Yes.
I'm gonna post the other Cleopatra one next week probably.
Oh good.
I don't know which one I'm doing next week. I don't know. Anyway, stay tuned. But also, yeah, we did actually take a month off from posting episodes. So this is our first time recording since like April something.
Yeah.
And it's June.
Yeah, because the last one that we did was my national parks one.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
So it's good to be recording again. And the big thing happened today that we knew was going to happen eventually.
It finally did.
And it happened 2 years after we started this podcast. We chose the same topic.
Which is crazy because I did not think that it would happen in this region.
Right. I guess we can tell them what we're doing.
Yeah.
But we're in China today.
Yes. I really thought that we would do the same topic either in America or somewhere like in Western Europe, like France or England.
Or like it would be like a seasonal one, like Halloween. Yeah. Like we would talk about the same legend or something.
Yeah.
But this is such a random thing.
Coincidence.
For us to like both decide to do. We didn't talk about it beforehand.
Because I don't really talk about China. Like you focused a lot more on Asia than I have.
That's why I was like, she won't do this. And then she did. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But it actually worked out really well because the way that we research is different. So like we kind of focused on different parts of this thing. So it actually works out well.
Yeah, and it'll be a two-parter because it actually has surprisingly a lot of history to it.
It does. Yeah. Are you ready to find out what it is?
What is it? I don't know.
Drum roll. Today, we're going to be doing... You're supposed to say it.
The Terracotta Army.
Woo!
and the emperor behind it.
Yes, of course. Can't forget him. We'll talk all about him today. So, yes.
Why did you choose this particular topic?
It was very random, actually. I have I have a wheel of like different topics to help me decide what to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise I get overwhelmed and I'm like, I don't know what to do. What topic should I do? So this kind of gives me a good starting point. So I got haunted objects. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, let's do one of those. Throw one in, randomly in the summertime. And then as I was researching, somehow it led to like different like haunted places, like so-called haunted or like just mysterious places. And so it led me to this. And I was like, this is really fascinating. And like I've heard of it before, but I like didn't know a lot of info. So yeah, I was interested in it. What about you?
Well, so I am planning for this summer to do like a summer bucket list of places around the world of just like to help, like if you're going on a trip in the summer and like if you go to like France or if you go to England or like Latin America somewhere and you're like, okay, what do I want to do when I go there?
Yeah.
So I decided, I was like, okay, there's so many different places that we've already talked about. Like you talked about the Statue of Liberty. Yeah. We talked about like Machu Picchu, like Chichen Itza, like all the wonders of the world. Like those are places that you can go visit.
And national parks.
National parks, like places just like summery activities to like go do something, learn more about culture and whatnot. And I looked it up on just like Google of just some of like the most famous ones, and the Terracotta Army came up because it's one of China's like huge talked about and very interesting monuments that you can go to. In mausoleum that is just like, and then the history behind it is very rich.
It is.
So, and it's very old. So I thought, oh, that would be a good one to like, if you're in China, like go visit. So that was like my thing. Wasn't
that is so funny.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that we were texting earlier. Jamie's like, what region are you in? And I said China. She's like, this should be interesting. I'm going to post our conversation on our Instagram because it was pretty funny.
As soon as I asked her what dynasty she was in,
you knew.
Like, she was like the Qin dynasty. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. It was bound to happen eventually.
It was.
Maybe we should ask what regions we're doing before we research.
I think so.
But this will be kind of like a throwback episode, like when we used to do like the Pompeii. I feel like we don't do a lot of episodes that are
combined.
Both of us talking about the same topic. So this should be really fun. I'm excited. So today we're going to start off with the rich history of the Terracotta Army. Woo woo! So I got my sources from, I watched a documentary just to help me with like the pronunciations. I also like to kind of see people like walking through this area and see those types of things. So I watched a weird history documentary. It was pretty fascinating. And then the Global Times website gave me a lot of information, as well as the Travel China Guide and Britannica. So lots of fun little sources there. So just like we have talked about with ancient Egypt believing the items that they took with them to the grave would accompany them in the afterlife, the ancient Chinese felt the exact same way, which is what led to this remarkable discovery.
Oh.
So we're going to throw it way back when. Way back to 264 BCE.
That was a long time ago.
Long time ago. So yeah, we're starting, pretty early days. So we're going to start with the first emperor of China who has a big impact in our story today. His name is Qin Shi Huang. And I made sure to pronounce that correctly, so I didn't have to guess.
Did you find his like first name like originally?
Yes. Yeah. Zhao Zhang.
Yeah. That's wild.
I know. So he was born on February 18th, 259 BCE, and he died on September 10th, 210 BCE. So you can kind of see like the time period that we're going to be talking about today. So he was the creator of the first unified Chinese empire. And as I just mentioned, his birth name was Zhao Zhang. His father's name was Zhuang Shang. And his father later became the king of the state of Qin, basically, which is located in northwestern China. This is what led to the Qin dynasty, basically. So his mother, who used to be a concubine, unmarried, which is basically an unmarried woman who hooks up with a man often and lives with him and his wife or wives.
Yep.
Fun times. She used to be that of a rich merchant named Lu Buell. So he had helped Zhuang Qing get his place on the throne. So she was hooking up with this guy who, would help her future husband with a little project. And so he was not actually originally a successor, but because he had this connection with Lu, then he was able to become the successor, basically. That's kind of how it all went down. Lots of tea. Many believe that Zhang might actually be the son of Lu, but it's not likely. So, because Zhang was able to get on the throne and kind of had this connection to, his mom's, there's a lot of connections right now. His mom's sugar daddy, maybe, I guess if we want to call him that. He was able to kind of help him get on the throne. And people think he could possibly be the father of him, which maybe, because his mom was hooking up with both of them at the same time.
The tea.
It's hard to tell.
There.
It is there for sure.
It is strong.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned something later about another reason why they think Lu is the dad. But
it's so hard to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't get DNA from him or the other ones, so it's like
So at age 13, Zhang ascended to the throne in 246 BCE, when Qin was already the most powerful state and was likely to unite the rest of China under its rule. So they knew it was a good time to do it, and he's only 13. And they're like, come on, let's go.
No one should be on throne when they're 13
God,
years
no.
old.
Do you know the decisions I made when I was 13? I decided to like watch Twilight every day. You know? That's enough of a interesting decision. If you think about it, like think of yourself at 13.
I was emo.
Yeah. Like we cannot be leaders at that time.
Oh, God. What a nightmare.
I know. So Qin was a popular place at this time. A lot of people wanted to live there. Due to its location on the mountain, it seemed to be like the perfect area to live in. And they also developed a strong bureaucratic government and a strong military. So they brought up this idea of legalism, which became big in China. So this was really like the first place to do that. It was like the hip place. All these like cool things are happening there. Let's move there. It's like California. So Liu Boai, the guy who I was talking about earlier, led the government until Zhang was of age to rule in 238 BCE. He passed it on to him. And then his first act as king was executing his mother's lover, who had joined the opposition. So that's her other lover.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And he also decided to exile Liu, who was also involved in the affair. So he's kind of like trying to get rid of all her side hoes.
To be like, you are not giving me a bad name.
Yeah, exactly. I have one dad and it's not him. So that was his first decisions. Yeah, it's pretty
petty
strong.
teenager.
I know. See, again, age 13, or I guess he's a little older now, but not too much older.
He was a young emperor.
Yeah, because that was only 8 years later, so he's still like...
Well, he didn't live very long.
Right. So...
So sad.
Yeah. So by 221, he eliminated the 6 remaining rival states in China at the time. He was just getting rid of all those. He's like, nope, we're the best.
Yeah, out.
Yeah, get out of here. And he got rid of Qi, which was the last enemy state in 221, marking his final triumph. Many praised him for this, and many thought he was a villain. There were a lot of mixed feelings. But finally, China was united under the rule of the Qin. And he abolished feudalism and led drastic administrative reforms in an effort to avoid lapsing back into the chaos China once was never-ending wars and different things like that.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to get away from that chaos that they used to endure and trying to just find ways for them all to exist peacefully.
Just coexist.
Yeah, exactly. And then he decided, I'm going to change my name. It's time. So he gave himself the name Qin Shi Huang, which means first sovereign emperor. So he's like, that's me.
And the crazy thing, too, is that there's so many different, like, variations of these names. Like, when I did my, like, research for it, his last name was Hugonyi.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's, like, it's either spelled with, like, a D-I or a T-I.
Okay.
But I did see that Huang one too.
Yeah, Huang. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
So it varies depending on like researcher, historian, or just like
the language translation. Yeah.
Translations.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, because my I think 2 or 3 of my sources had different variations.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's very interesting because it happens all the time though if you look at like the translations and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of my sources were like British.
Yeah. Oh,
so that's probably why they sound different too.
Yeah, because British translations are different because their alphabet for how they spell certain things is different from how we do it.
Yeah.
Like if you look at, oh God, I'm trying to think of like examples of just like simple, like my computer will tell me this is the British variation of how you're spelling this. Do you want to correct it? And I'm like, what?
That's so interesting.
Like how they spell color. They put a U in it.
Oh, yeah.
We don't.
Donut. They
put, donut.
Like, the whole dough.
So it's just crazy how that works too. So like sometimes they'll leave stuff out or they'll put extra words or vice versa for us. So it's crazy how that works.
Yeah, how like complex the English language is.
Yeah.
And just like depending on where you live, you know. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's really interesting.
I just had to make a little blurb.
I like it. So he was confident in claiming his dynasty because he was like, this dynasty is going to last 10,000 generations. He was like, this is the best. Nothing will ever be better for China. So he's a very confident fella.
Poor thing. Little does he know.
Yeah. Poor boy.
He's just using his naivety.
Exactly.
Nativity?
Nativity. Nativity. He is naive. Put it that way.
Is there a plural?
Nativity.
Nativity.
It's not like nativity scene. He's in the nativity scene. Nativity. I don't know. That's how he thinks he is. Oh my god. Oh god. I'm gonna need a lot of water today.
We just need to move on before we make it worse.
True. I was about to make more stupid jokes. So he abolished territorial feudal power in the empire, in which he forced the wealthy aristocratic families to live in the capital, which was named Jianyang. So
that is savage to be like, because you can't say no to the emperor.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I have like my family here. Like I'm very stable here. And then he like sends an order to be like, nah, move to the capital.
Yeah,
You're
get
like,
out of here. Go somewhere else. He's from Jersey now. Oh God, Jersey Shore. Except, okay, no, I'm done. All right. No jokes today. This is one of those topics where like you can make light of it because it's not anything too crazy. You know what I mean? For this week, at least. I'm just talking about his life, so we can roast him if we want to. No, we're not going to roast him. Don't worry. If you're a fan, we're not going to roast him. All right. I'm going to cut that out. Okay. Pretend I never said any of that. All right. So
fangirling over the first ever
oh my God.
the Qin dynasty.
Oh, okay. So
I root for Qin. I want to have your babies.
Team Jen. There's like a picture of him like oh my God.
It's getting late, guys.
Focus.
Can you
all
tell?
Right. Okay. So one decision he decided to make was he divided the country into 36 military districts, each with one military and one civil administrator. So he was trying to like separate everyone into their own little communities, basically.
So it's Hunger Games.
Yes.
But without the
hunger. In the games. Maybe there was hunger.
No. I'm thinking of Divergent.
Oh, I get those two mixed up all the time.
I do too.
When you said that, I was like, I was thinking Divergent.
Well, because they both have districts.
And they came out around the same time, the movies.
They did.
Yeah, okay. So it's like Divergent.
Or The Giver.
I get those mixed up too because they're both about like having a special.
It's like it's like a dystopian.
Yeah.
Or
oh my God.
They would call it utopian, but it's a dystopian.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh boy. All right. So he issued orders for a lot of things like the written language changing. He wanted to change a lot of laws, different weights and measures, road construction, canal construction, and a lot of fortresses for defense against any barbarian invasion from the north were linked to form the Great Wall. So this was a big time during that as well. He's trying to fix it all.
I mean, good for him.
Yeah, for sure. He was like ready to make some moves. You know, he didn't just sit there looking all hot for all his fangirls. Okay. Why are we having a hard time today?
It's because of the alcohol we've consumed.
Wait, just wait until we do a TikTok for this one.
Oh God.
You could be the statue. Like a statue. We can make Delilah a horse.
Just paint her bronze.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow, this is gonna be a hard one to edit.
I know.
Oh God, I'm gonna be there on like a Tuesday afternoon, just like, oh God. So this was the first time ever for China to have one communication system. He was like, let's cut the crap. We're all going to talk the same. We're all going to be able to communicate to one another. So he got rid of that and basically made it all to one written language.
How would you speak that?
I don't know. The process seems difficult.
Yeah.
Really difficult. In 220 BCE, he overlooked consolidation and organization of the empire and still performed sacrifices in many sacred places. So he was still like taking care of his own like religion and everything. And he announced to the gods that he finally united the empire, and he erected stone tablets with ritual inscriptions to show his achievements. So he's like, everyone has to know how phenomenal I was.
Wow.
I'm the best.
I'm the best around.
So yeah, he was like, hey gods, guess what? I like totally changed the empire. Like, oh, aren't you proud? And then he was like, you know what? I'm just going to create some stone tablets so that everyone knows how awesome I was. Gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, it's the same thing today as like posting on social media about your achievements.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The Facebook gods.
Oh my God. Imagine if he had a Facebook.
I don't want to imagine that. Hey guys, guess what I did today? This. I'm the best.
Don't forget, if you're part of this social class, you have to move here.
Yeah.
By this date.
It would be like how like Trump got canceled on Twitter. He would be like the same way on social media. Oh God.
Everybody must speak the same language.
Yeah. Okay, this is one of my favorite parts about him. So he traveled a lot because of his interest in magic and alchemy. So he looked everywhere for someone who could give him an someone to give him an immortality elixir.
I died when I read that information. I was like, really?
That's why I can't take him super seriously, because it's just like, but I get like at that time, nobody knew much about the world, you know, and you're going to think you can live forever and it's fine. You know, you can keep looking.
That just makes it so much more sad.
It does. Oh my God.
Because he wanted to live forever.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's because like they were like so scared to die.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't be? I mean,
right.
The age rate was like 50.
Yeah. And they were like, you have to be set up for death. Like, you have to have everything ready.
Yeah.
So if it's not ready by the time you die.
Well, by the time that you get put onto the throne, like, you're preparing for your death.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you look at all, like, with Egypt and then even here, like, with China, it's like, as soon as you get put on the throne, like, you're getting your tomb ready for your death.
Right. Yeah. Because they started right away.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about that very shortly. All right. So he ended up searching near Japan and couldn't find anyone who would be able to help him. He's like, anyone? Anyone know how to live forever? Anybody? And all these people were just like, huh? Okay. So they're all just kind of looking at him like, no, nobody does. But then people started like pretending to know or like trying to convince him that they knew something that would help. So starting in 219 BCE, people would come to him and bring him different things that were supposedly going to help him live forever. So they were summoned to go visit him. 460 of them were executed for lying.
Oh, shit.
Or for, like, not following through. Like, which I'm kind of like, how do you know? Because you're not dead. You know what I mean? One of them could have worked. So I don't know how they were able to prove that. But unless they were killed later when he died.
Probably.
Yeah, that would make more sense. They, like, find out he died and they're like, shit, they're coming for me next. So that's what I can think of. I don't know how else they would be able to be like, you lied, until he would die.
I have no idea. Unless like they beat it out of them.
Maybe. I don't know. In 213 BCE, all the books about agriculture, medicine, and prognostication were words are hard today. They were all burned, besides historical records of Qin and books in the Imperial Library. So they were trying to get rid of a lot of like the original books that they had. And they got rid of a ton of info.
That makes me so sad.
I know. It is sad.
Burning books never gets you anywhere.
No.
just makes you question the past even more, and then you're like, why did they do that?
Right, because there's so much we don't know because these books had to be burned.
Yeah, and then even with like the Alexandria like library, a lot of those documents got burned too, and then with World War II. So,
yeah.
I don't know why like rulers think that burning books is the answer.
Right.
They're just going to keep writing them.
And banning them too. That's a whole other topic. Okay, so during his reign, there were at least 3 assassination attempts made to Qin Shi Huang because they were just like a lot of people were not fans of him. They considered him to be a villain. Damn. They wanted to get rid of him. So many tried.
That's when you know you made it.
Yeah. He just posts that day. He's like, hey guys, don't worry. I survived the assassination attempt. Nice try.
Oh,
God. Another thing that happened around this time was that it was in 215 BCE. He ordered a general named Meng Tian to begin construction of his tomb. Again, they want to try to get ahead of the time before they die because it takes a while to create the tombs. So it would be built underneath a 76-meter tall tomb mound shaped like a pyramid, and it would take 38 years to complete.
That is so wild.
I know. And even though he had massacred all of his enemies, the ancient Chinese believed beating your enemies in the living world was a temporary victory. And we're going to talk, of course, about like all the details of what's going to come next to his tomb and this army that is created. But he knew that there was a chance that he'd probably have to face his enemies in the afterlife. And that was something that he was constantly worried about, which is what led to building this army and motivation for defeating his enemies in the afterlife. The army faces east due to the fact that that would be the direction that most enemies would likely come from. And again, we'll talk more about all of that. But he had construction on the army being built immediately after he took the throne. He was like, we have to get this ready to go. Yeah. So that when I die, I'm ready to be defended against. So basically, the Terracotta Army was a clay reproduction of warriors, servants, horses, and other objects that would help him in a battle. And it was known to be over 700,000 laborers. I don't know what number you saw, but that kept popping up for me that there were 700,000.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were like, how is that possible back then? Because there were no places that like had that much people in them. So.
Well, for that, it was because most of the population was forced to do it. Like, I'm just going to say it now that there were about 30,000 families that were forced to move from their homes, and they pretty much built like a city adjacent to where the mausoleum and the tomb is.
Okay, so they could work on it.
Yeah, and they were placed there. So in those 38 years, they would have about roughly 700,000, and this could be just like regular families, higher officials, like everybody had to participate in this. Like they were forced to do so. And I'm sure with him still like prisoner of war, I'm sure were forced to do.
Yeah, that makes sense
as well. So
okay, that makes more sense because I was like, how? Because I even saw sources that were like, a lot of people don't believe that to be true. Like, how can it be that many people?
I mean,
but it makes sense if like people are coming from all over.
Exactly. And it can be like roughly estimated. I mean, every historian or researcher is going to have a different interpretation, as I will get into, of like how these clay statues were created. Like there's so many that have different ideas of what could be possible. And with history this old and a lot of it not being like documented, we just have to go off of assumption.
Yeah.
And estimating like what could possibly be true, or we have to take whatever they put, whatever they wrote down to think that is that actually true, or were they like over exaggerating? So it's like, take it with a grain of salt.
Right. That's true. Yeah. And it's hard having like so many sources too and trying to be like, yeah, we don't know really what was true. We're just going off of these words, but so in 206 BCE, that was when the work was finally completed on all the statues. And Qin had already been dead for 4 years. Yeah. So, and I read that some of the laborers were executed to keep the tomb a secret because they didn't want them to like go tell everyone about it.
I did see that as well. And a lot of them died too.
Yeah.
Like in the process, because it's intense.
Yeah. The Qin tomb where he is buried is 20 square miles long. So definitely a nice little area that honors him. And another thing besides having all the army statues and everything is that he also feared boredom in the afterlife. So he buried a lot of different entertainers. Like he had strongmen, acrobats, and musicians, along with bronze ducks, waterfowl, and cranes, likely because he wanted to be surrounded by peaceful animals. So those were other things that he was burying with him, basically.
Did you find how he died? Because I couldn't really find anything.
There were like mixed things, but there's not a definitive answer.
I bet it was those elixirs that he was drinking. Someone probably gave him like mercury or
that's what I kept reading was the mercury poisoning.
Yeah. Because like if he's taking all of these stupid elixirs for immortality, one of them is bound to kill him.
Right. I think it was all the toxic chemicals.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate because like he probably could have lived a long life.
Right. And he like really wanted to do a lot.
Yeah.
And he did. He did do a lot during his time. I wish there was more info on him, but of course it's hard so many years ago to have that info. But Qin Shi was Huang's successor, which was in the Han Dynasty, wanted to paint him in a bad light, which is why we get a lot of the ideas of him being a villain. Mm-hmm. We don't have a lot of like the good information on him because that's not how people wanted him to be remembered. Yeah. Unfortunately. So he could have been like the best person ever. We just don't have a lot of that info because people wanted to kind of paint him in a bad light.
Well, you have to think too, like he had his successor, but that didn't work out. Right. Did you find that information on that?
I thought so. I don't know if I wrote it down, but I read about it.
Yeah, because he wanted his like eldest son to be his successor, but I don't think that worked out. So his youngest son, ended up being the successor, and then he had one of his side oh god, what are they called? I had this in my original.
Like someone who like helps him out, or
kind of like his guidance counselor.
But like the actual term.
Yeah, it's like he like helped him out, and so he pretty much was like, hey, I want you, like, if I die, like, I want you to keep an eye on him and like kind of guide him into being like the proper like ruler for the next Qin dynasty. And I believe his son committed suicide, and then
I did read that.
And then the guy ended up getting killed, so that's what ended the Qin dynasty and moved on to the next.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So like he wanted this. It's so sad because he wanted this dynasty to live on for thousands of years, but it only lasted barely his son.
Right. That is sad.
Yeah, so it was like 4 years after his death is when the Qin dynasty fell. Mm-hmm. So it's just so sad to see that happen.
Right, when the army was completed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wish I like did more research on him. If I like knew we were doing this, I would go more in depth in him. But of course, I like was also researching the army too. So, but yeah, I definitely read that too about the end of his dynasty and how it just kind of like crumbled.
It did
so fast.
So sad.
A lot of people just know him for his so-called cruelty that he had, his poor character, and really most of the information we have comes from the next dynasty, the Han dynasty. So he's well known for trying to unite and strengthen the empire, and many in China regard him as a villain due to his legalist beliefs, but he really did set the tone for China dynasties because of the bureaucratic and administrative structures he set up. So he really did make a lot of changes for them that they could probably thank him for at some point. So one thing I did want to talk about quickly is the mercury that we were discussing earlier. Yeah. The ancient Chinese considered mercury to be the elixir of life, but today we know it as one of the most toxic chemicals. Yep. You probably should not ingest it.
Please don't.
Yeah. But Emperor Qin would ingest mercury pills regularly. So
that totally killed him.
Yeah, this is why he probably died at the age of 50. Yep. The tomb is surrounded by multiple rivers of liquid mercury. And Sima Qian was a Chinese historian. He claimed that 100 flowing rivers were created in the tomb. And after analyzing the soil, they did find extremely high levels of mercury. But of course, they're a little scared to uncover the rest that could potentially be there.
Yeah, because next week I'll go a little bit further. And I actually, for that historian, I actually used too. Because
oh, nice.
Yeah, because I think that was like that historian. I think they're the one that wrote it because I don't know what time frame.
Yeah.
They were.
But yeah.
No, it's interesting. Like, I would be absolutely terrified to open that too.
Yeah, I would not want to get in there with the mercury and everything. You don't know what kind of toxic chemicals are down there.
It's going to be worse than King Tut's tomb.
Yeah, there's so much mystery, which is really why I like this topic, because like there's so much we don't know.
Exactly.
And there, like, only 1% has been excavated out of everything. Like, that's insane. Imagine everything else that they're going to hopefully find one day soon.
It's legit.
Yeah, so the army was discovered around 50 years ago, if I did the math right. It's 2020. Yeah, around there. But again, only 1% has been excavated. So Jamie's going to talk about the 1% that we do have information about. So, yeah. Anyway, that is part 1 today, the history of kind of what led to this army.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, and again, I wish I did more research on him, but I don't know if there really is much more about him. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like, it's so sad when, like, you have, like, he probably had such a high, like, list of things that he accomplished. But,
yeah,
again, when you have, like, a second person who hated you, like, in power.
Yeah.
Like, they can easily wipe it out. I mean, like, look at Hatshepsut with her son, like, or the, I think it was, like, her nephew or something. Like, completely wiped her out as soon as she died and he came on throne. Mm-hmm. Like, it was so sad.
That is sad.
But
anyway, find out what happens next, because we're going to talk about the details. And if you've seen pictures of this, it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, this place is awesome.
Imagine discovering that.
I would fangirl.
I would be like, oh! Just stand there freaking out. All right, awesome. So stay tuned for next week, and we'll give you some more information.
Yes. Where can you find us?
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Historia the Podcast. And then you can also email us at historiathepodcast@gmail.com.
Give us some more, like, bucket list ideas of potential places that you have been or would like to go to, and know a little bit about their history. So,
yes,
we'll catch you next week.
I like this idea. I have some ideas for this.
I thought it would be fun.
We'll make sure we discuss, where we are next time.
Yes,
but I like it. All right, awesome. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.